So I did do a mock-up. It fits pretty well. What I did learn is I could go down from a 16 to a 14. So with this pattern, what I did like was that the pieces came in individual sizes because it is modeled after how authentic vintage patterns come in just the one size. So the bodice pieces come in the different size, and then the sleeves I didn't cut out to a 14. So what we're going to do is cut everything out to a 14. And here's my other pieces. The skirt is going to be out of this, and the bodice up here and the sleeves I'm going to do out of the print just like they did, and then the solid where they did. And then we're going to cover some buttons to go there. We're not doing any of that trim or anything. I also learned from the skirt that I made, that I did actually wear when we went to see Barbie, that it was about 4 inches too long. So we're going to chop 4 inches off the bottom. And yep, we're going to finally put this together. If you are wondering what is going on here, if you're lost and just don't even know, let me catch you up. I was supposed to make this dress out of pink fabric to go see Barbie with my daughter. I made her a dress, and there is a video, and ran out of time, and my dress got turned into a skirt. So I did mock up the blouse, and I did decide to resume this dress using some of the fabric that I got when I went fabric shopping on my meetup in Indianapolis with Haley from Haley Marie Vintage. So I'm happy to be using that linen up as we're closing out the summer. I'm excited for this make. It's been a very long time coming. If you're a regular here on this channel, you know that I recently, not even recently, it's been a little over a year now, I've been working outside of my home for an association that helps people that have been diagnosed with ALS. So my sewing has been really sporadic because I just don't have the time. Like, I'm at the height of event season. If you've been following like some of my community posts and my Instagram, I've been doing a lot of news interviews and just the planning of the events. I'm in charge of all of the walks to raise money in my state. And so it is a very taxing, demanding, time consuming, but such a rewarding job. But I do not have time to sew. I have one walk left. I just wrapped up a walk this weekend. One walk left, and then my life will not be so chaotic. So once again, thank you all for bearing with me. I know I said that in my last video. My content has been so few and far between, and those are the reasons. Any free time that I do have, I'm usually very exhausted, and I do try to spend some time with my kids. So I haven't been able to sew. It's definitely showing in my personality and my stress level, my anxiety. I'm definitely missing sewing, so I'm excited to be able to finally finish up this project and get back into it. I'm excited for some fall sewing. I still have fall fabrics from last year that I didn't get to sew when I had mono for 6 months, but that's a whole nother thing that we won't get back into. But yes, very excited to be working on this McCalls pattern. It's M8401 if you didn't catch it on the envelope. It is a vintage reproduction, but it's a very new one that just came out not too long ago. And I hope you do go check out the video when I first started making this, and where I made Major's dress that she wore to go see Barbie, and I made this pattern into a skirt. So that's the backstory of this whole situation. So I'll catch you up on the sewing. We've been working on the bodice. I really like the design of it and the way this midriff piece is. I like being able to use these contrasting fabrics that just go well together. And see here, I am making the place for the buttonholes, and the buttons, not even buttonholes, the buttons, and they're just decorative. So I don't have to make buttonholes. That is super amazing. I'm pinning together the pieces for the midriff right here. To be faced. So I'll stitch those together and then flip them inside out and give them a press and that whole thing. I really love the style of this dress. What is very interesting is the difference in my size now from when I started this dress. So I'm hoping that it still fits well. I did go down to a 14. I normally had been cutting an 18, but I've been purposely
trying to lose weight. Like my diet was just, I was eating a bunch of things I was allergic to, and that's a whole nother story we won't get into. And all of these things, I had an allergy test, and I decided to give Ozempic a try. Which, if you guys want to hear more about my journey with that, I will share. I've been very transparent with all of my friends about it. So if you're interested in what that's like, I can talk about it if you guys are interested, but only then. So yes, I've been doing that for about 4 months, and I'm down about 35 pounds. And so I knew going into this that weight loss was going to happen. So, not really sure how this pattern really runs because of the weight loss that I've experienced, which I'm very happy about. I feel much better. I'm a lot more confident being on camera and making garments. So I still, at this point, as I'm doing the voiceover, I have yet to put in the sleeves. I haven't tried this dress on in so long. You can tell by my nails and how many times they change. I only get my nails done like every 2 weeks. They change so many times. That's how long I've been working on this, like since the Barbie premiere. So I don't even know if this dress actually fits. If it is too big, I am not going to be mad, I promise you. I mean, there's worse things to be mad about. You've seen me make garments that are too small, which maybe I should even try those on again now. That could be a thing. But yes, let's just get back into the sewing.
So this is where we are with the front. Looks pretty good. Now we need to start working on the back. So the back is in 2 pieces, and the first thing we have to do is join the center back seam. So they want us to do that even before we put in the darts. And I know we have to fold this edge under and then do a whole thing, but they want us to seam it first. So right sides together would be, that's the right side, that's the right side. So we're seaming it from the dot to the edge. So that's the first thing. We're going to seam it from there to there. We'll have to fold back the edge 1/4 of an inch and stitch, and then that'll end up like the facing thing. But I'm just going to take it one step at a time. I'm not going to confuse things or make them more complicated. So I'm going to seam this now.
It seems like so long ago that I was seaming the back bodice of this dress, but what I do remember is I do remember this sewing project, this pattern itself, being an enjoyable one to sew. Could have been because I wasn't getting to sew as often that I was taking more joy out of it when I did. Even though the whole time I felt guilty about not getting content out, not finishing a garment. But I do know that this pattern itself was easy to follow and enjoyable to sew.
Pressed open that center back seam, and then I marked the 1/4 of an inch and folded it back and pressed it. And then I'm going to do the same here on this side here, and then I'm going to have to edge stitch. So I marked that out with a ruler just to be as accurate as possible. This fabric I got in Indianapolis on my trip. It's a little bit pricey. I just want to make sure I do as neat and clean of a job as I can. So now I will go edge stitch this, and then I think the next step will be the darts. So that's where we are. So it has been a very long time since I've been able to sew, and since I've picked this project up. I'm trying to decipher just exactly where we are. But here are our sleeves. They're pinned together. They will need to be stitched. We got collar pieces that will need to be interfaced. I do have the interfacing cut out. This lower back bodice is going to get attached to this. We have some sleeve facings, and then that is the skirt that is going to be gathered up. So I don't think there is a lot to do. I have my markings for the buttons that I believe are just decorative. We'll see, but I think this is the next step that needs to happen. I finished the neck of, or the back opening of the back bodice, and this piece number 4 is going to get attached to it. So that's what we need to do. I think that's where we're gonna start. I'm excited to move on to something else. This has bored me a bit. I don't know if it's because it's been on my sewing table for so long. I just haven't had the time to work on it, or what the reason is, but I'm ready to be done with this and start something new. It's time for fall sewing, so let's get to it. So I got everything prepped so we could take it over to the sewing machine at once. So this is the back with the lower back attached. When we get that stitched on, it's gonna look like that. I have the sleeves, they're pinned in place, the sleeve facings. My collar pieces, I interfaced one of them, pinned them right sides together, and so now we're going to take all of this to the sewing machine at the same time, so we're not getting up and getting down.
So here I am seaming the side of the sleeve, even though I've yet to attach those. But at this point, I am moving along. I was really enthusiastic. Those were my birthday nails. I remember that, and I got them blue. My cake was blue. Oh, I'll put in a picture. Let me see if I have one. So Daddy got me a cake.
Yeah, a blue one.
A blue one. And he got me a card. My favorite chocolates. A bear. Some flowers. What should I open? The card?
Probably, yeah, the card. Okay. Here's the card.
Is it from you too? So yes, that's how long the blue nails. The blue nails are for my birthday, the very first week of September, because like that colored teal was my theme. I was hoping this dress was going to be finished and I would be able to wear it, and I told my husband I wanted my cake to match it and all of the things. Here we are, mid-October, and that did not happen. A lot has happened since then. There's actually video of me on my Instagram, if you want to see that, opening my presents, and I think I did one of the kids singing happy birthday. I can't remember, but yes, so that's how long ago the blue nails are. Tell you what, tell me in the comments how many nail changes you've seen, and I will pick someone to send this pattern to who gets it right, because this is a lot of nail changes, a lot, and we are not even done. So the dress is getting closer to completion. We're making progress, and I love it so far, by the way. I would love to hear your thoughts on my fabric choices as well.
So I pinned the front to the back, right sides together at the sewing machine. I'm gonna take that and get it stitched in place now. So I stitched the I stitched the front to the back at the shoulder seams and pressed those open. The next step is to tack the collar pieces together 5/8 of an inch down from the edge. And so I put a mark using the sewing machine to make sure that it was right. And I'm gonna do that and tack those together.
Okay, sis, that was either a early morning or a late night shoot, because you can hear it all in the voice. I do not think I got sick anytime during that time. Remember when I had mono and like every video I put out was just me struggling to talk. But that must have just been a very early morning before the kids were up, or a very late night. But look at this collar. If you have been with me from the beginning of my sewing journey, you remember me avoiding patterns because of collars and throwing out dresses because of messed up collars. And now, look at me. Look at the growth. Look at the confidence grow. I am very proud of this collar. I'm trying to figure out how they want me to do the facing situation. That's what you see me trying to figure out here. But the collar itself, I must say, looks really good. What do you think? I think it looks good. So I think I did figure out what they wanted me to do with the collar basting situation. So this is just me getting her basted down in place. And for this video, it seems like it's moving quite along, but we all know the optical illusion of video. It said take up 1/4 of an inch seam allowance on the facing and 5/8 on the bodice. So I'm guessing this is what they meant. That would be 1/4. Yeah, so I put it right on the 5/8 of an inch so I can stitch right on that line. And that is what I'm going to do now. Yes, that must have been a very early morning. If you've been here from the beginning, you also know that I hate using bias binding, that I could never really figure that whole situation out. I avoided it, and my insides of my neck edges would often be like unfinished or just really sloppy because I wasn't really sure how that worked and never really wanted to work with it. But I did it on this dress, and I'm very proud of the inside of this dress as well. Like, my work has improved so much. Give the video a thumbs up if you agree. So I did that. I trimmed the seam and clipped into the curves, and that is that end piece. So now it'll just tuck neatly inside of there and stitch it down. I guess I stitch it down to that. It won't show through because of the collar anyway. So I'm going to stitch that down. I think I'll do it by hand. Yeah, and that looks nice and neat. For the collar, I'm going to press it a little bit more just to kind of get it doing what I want it to do. And yeah, we're moving along. Finally. I believe I took that bias binding to the bed and finished sewing that up. That must have been a lazy Sunday at the beginning of September. Are these new nails? They are. These are the gold nails. These are my Vegas nails, which I actually still have now, 2 weeks later. It's time to get those done. But there was a few shorts of my Vegas situation, so make sure you check those out. So we did go to Vegas for like 6 days. These are the Vegas nails. So not sure if I filmed this part before I left or when I got back. Probably when I got back. But this is me getting the sleeve facing pieces on, because when I put in the bias binding down by hand, I also hemmed the dress, and I did that by hand. And that was just cool because there were things that I could do from the bed. And so now I'm waiting to put the sleeves in. I haven't put them in because when I pin one in, I probably should have read the directions. The way it's set up, it's like I'm going to need to gather down like the sleeve head first before I pin them in place. So I have one pinned in right now. It needs to be unpinned, and I just need to gather down those sleeve head parts that goes right at the shoulder and then pin it in place. My zipper is already in and everything. I don't even know if I have footage of that, but I'm going to make sure to include some inside of the garment finish and some just close-up shots of that neck edge and just the inside work and this sleeve facing work, just so you guys can see, because I really want you to see just like how much better the inside looks. I remember just like before hiding the insides of garments from you guys and not letting you see the guts and how messy they often were. So I hemmed the entire skirt by hand, so that bias binding down by hand around the neck edge, and I put the zipper in by hand, which I always say that I do now because I like it so much better. So this is the skirt all gathered down with the bodice. I was confused trying to attach it, so if you see here, I wrote on the skirt like what was the back, what was the front, what was the side, so that way I wouldn't get confused and have like a situation. I've often done that, like it's been a thing, but I'm learning like what works for me and what I need to do. I gathered it down and pinned it in place, and then I basted it down by hand with that yellow thread. You see that? Before I took it to the sewing machine, because the pins are always a situation. After I got the skirt attached to the bodice, I did have to unpick like 2 or 3 places where my stitches caught up the skirt in a weird way. But other than that, it was pretty smooth as far as mistakes went.
So putting the zipper in, I'm basting it in by hand, and this is happening, this little gap here. I'm not sure why that is happening. I've already hemmed it. I'm gonna have to take that down and, I don't know, maybe open this up a little bit further down and try to ease some more of this fabric in here so I don't have to go all the way to the bottom. Not really sure, but just gonna get the zipper in and then try to figure this situation out.
And then I went on to pink my seams after I got the zipper put in, and chopped all that stuff down with pinking shears to fix it. And this dress is about complete. And I put a hook and eye at the top of the neck where the collar is. That's the inside of the neck. So this footage was here of the bias binding, and I'm just really, really pleased. But like I said, we still need to put the sleeves in, and we still need to try it on and see how it really turns out in the end. I hope it's well, and I hope you enjoyed catching up with me. Sorry, there's no real instructions here.
So here are our sleeves. I finished the insides, and what I haven't done is gather them down. So, or put in the gathering threads between these notches. And so that's why it wasn't fitting when I was trying to pin it in the dress. So there is the dress. These are the sleeves. Here is the sewing machine. I'm literally 10 minutes from done, and we've been in this place for several days now. So let's get this done today. I'm not that sure how this is gonna look, but I did match up my markings almost perfectly. That's the shoulder seam marking, and those dots match well. It's just me and sleeves are a thing, but look at that, almost perfect. Alright, so let's do the other one.
I finally finished this dress. I thought that it was going to be cold, too cold to wear it, but thankfully, even though we are mid-October, it is not too cold to wear the dress. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to show you some final photos, and I'm going to take off in my dress with my husband in his cute car and enjoy one of the last few days of warm weather. So I'm glad I got it finished in time. I really love it. I hope you love the video. If you'd like to support this channel further, check out the link in the description for my Patreon. I look forward to creating the fall things that are coming, and I appreciate you all for bearing with me as my content has been really sporadic. So I thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you like the dress. Please let me know in the comments what you think of the dress, the pattern, if you'll sew it up, if you like my fabric selections. If you want to see where I bought the fabric, I will leave a link to that video when I went shopping to buy the fabric, and all of those things. So anyway, let's get into the final photos. Thank you so much for being here. If it's your first time here, remember to subscribe, hit the like button, turn on notifications, that whole little thing YouTubers say, put that right here, and let's go. I really, really, really love this dress. I love the way that it fits. I love the way it flows. I love the midriff. I love everything about it. Also, another chance to wear my favorite Louboutins. The color is often hard to match, so anytime I can wear them, I am very happy. Anytime I can twirl, I am very happy. The weather today is absolutely perfect for this car and for this dress, and I absolutely love it. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in my next video that is soon and sure to come.